Oh.
Yep.
Any other questions? Do you have any questions for the assessor? That you might want partners on. Right.
And I guess the only question I had was if you had any comment on the perceived disparity. I don't have any proof in front of us what the disparity actually is or when those assessments were done in Fox Crossing or Sherwood. I think the whole comparison to the Waverly property is shouldn't even be in the discussion. It's not an accurate comparison of value of technical property. I guess the only question I have is if you did to some extent speak to a variance of 4,600 to 2,700 for similar frontage. If you have any more commentary on that. And otherwise, what was the valuation based on that property? On this property question.
Sure. So again, for land, we're taking a look at all vacant land sales. We'll look at all sales, but we'll subdivide it in different ways. So the determination for land then gets applied based on neighborhood, which is generally a location, right? So the prices of this neighborhood land value would be uniform. The property owners is in uniform with other like properties, which would be analysis within the village of Harrison. Using the sales within the village of Harrison. So Fox Crossing use the sales within Fox Crossing. So that's going to be one difference, right? With the sample set of which we're looking at. I'll say another thing as well. I quickly looked at Fox Crossing. It seems like they do an annual update. So they're looking generally 1 year back. You guys have had a significant amount of time. We're going to have a different sample set of not just location, but we're going to go 2 years back as well, just trying to gather some additional information. So again, different sample set of what we're looking at. So that would be a reflection of Fox Crossing. This is a reflection of the village of Harris.
And the statement that this 4,600 per foot is consistent up and down.
Correct. Yep.
So I do have a question for you as assessor, because isn't it true that if you take out a building permit to add on to your structural residential, your assessment after you build your building permit is based on square footage and whatever amenities you put in. So in other words, if you put in more money, you're probably going to put more money than what you're going to get out.
Most often it's the case.
Exactly. So I know I added a 900 square foot to my house, and I added a third stall garage. It cost me $145,000, but my assessed value only went up about 100,000. So I actually spent more money into putting in 900 square feet and third stall garage because I wanted to redo the concrete. Does redoing your concrete add value to your house? Does adding a hot tub, jacuzzi tub in your house add value to your house? I don't know, but I would know that I stuck in more money than probably I got out of it in my assessment. So that's typically what happens.
So your assessment was 75% of what you have in it. Get it? Waverly's is less than 50% of what they got.
But I don't know, we're not disputing Waverly assessment here, we're only.
I am, because I know what the situation is down there. I've been here for 50 years on this property, in the village of Harrison. I know what goes on down there. And it's completely unfair what they're being billed and what the property owners are being billed. And just about every one of the property owners down there that I've talked to, and I've talked to a lot of them, feel the same way. So this isn't the last you're going to hear from the property owners on the fire lines about this assessment. So
Now that all the evidence has been submitted under oath, I guess, do you have a summary that you would like to make?
well, yeah, I would like to make the summary of, let's just make it fair. If we're paying 4,600, make everybody down there pay the 4,600. As far as I'm concerned, the commercial part of this is an excuse to lake frontage, to lake property or the property on the lake is all the same. It's not any different. Waverly's isn't worth $2,000 and mine's worth 46. Okay, if you're gonna change it, then make them all 3,500 or whatever, but make them the same. Don't give a big disparity of 60% or 70% disparity. That's what I'm complaining about, and that's what everybody down there is talking about.
And
Everybody.
they're being assessed at 400 feet less.
Yeah, they got
It's
300
just
feet on the
300.
tax roll, even though they said they don't tax the business on frontage. I know for a fact they own they own 700 feet, pretty close to that. They're only assessed on 300 feet, even though they said they don't assess it on the footage. So this whole thing is so disguised, if you want to call it. Nothing is out front. And I'm not getting good answers. Granted, I don't agree with them. I agree with her on that. But my agreement is the disparity of it all. That's my disagreement. As a homeowner that's been here for a long, long time, it's the disparity that is upsetting me and 90% of the people that own on the fire lane. That's what is upsetting to us. Not so much the property, not the house values, because we realize property, house value, they're just, people are paying crazy prices for this stuff down here. We understand that. So that's what we're after. That's what we're after. We're after equality.
Go ahead with your summary, Liz.
Yeah, the only additional piece I'll note as well on this, although again, residential, commercial, two different property types that I don't find in this situation would be comparable. But when we quote price per square foot for residential property, we take that building value divided by the square feet. When we quote price per square foot for commercial, it's the totality of that business, of that parcel divided by the square feet. So we include the land when we're pricing it in as a total value. So land is wrapped in with that total value. We are considering it in totality. No additional information presented this time.
So now that the summary has been presented, and I am going to go ahead and forward to the testimony on this objection. Board of Review will now deliberate on the testimony, we just had with us. Thanks, gentlemen.
Well, it feels like this is more about Waverly than anything else, and this is not about Waverly. If Waverly's out of line, that's another issue. So, if it's a consistent, cross, if yours is 46 and your neighbor's is 27,
That would be good.
but to me, that would be different. So I'm not seeing evidence that
And again, part of these
this
proceedings,
assessment is out of line.
and part of, as we go through all of these objections, we have to be fact-based in our findings. Unless somebody actually brings an assessment and you bring something counter to what has been done by the accurate assessors. We can't even, under state statute, even take the objections without any evidence. Which we need a professional appraiser to come in and give us that evidence on behalf of the objectors.
More evidence of similar sales, right? It's an assessment or it's comparable sales or sales of comparable properties.
One final question?
Well, the testimony's over.
All right.
Matt, do you have any questions? Or thoughts on this? Otherwise, I'll need a motion and a second.
I'll wait for discussion.
Okay,
Motion to deny.
we have a motion to deny. So we have a motion by trustee Lancaster and a second by trustee Deal. Those in favor of
Discussion.
I'm sorry, discussion, sorry.
So. We can't look at Waverly because it's a different type of property. That's the we have to follow this Wisconsin, or this guide for property owners, and the assessment manual itself is almost 1,000 pages. And if you really want to read a lot, if you look at the actual assessment manual, it's about 1,000 pages that will go in and explain the different classes of property and everything. So dealing with your resident property itself, we have to have actual evidence. So my motion to deny is based on I have no evidence that your property is overassessed. We don't have any other sales of comparable properties showing that your property is overassessed. And we also don't have a professional appraisal of your property showing that it's overassessed. The umbrella ones we have in here, there is actual people submitted actual appraisals that they hired an appraisal company get to them. So that's my reasoning here. Without having evidence, we're bound by statutes. I would encourage you to look at this 2025 guide for property owners. Page 22 talks about this, and there's a lot of stuff in here. I get it. Also, page 26 talks about your rights to appeal as well. If you want to appeal. Now you were asking about that, so that it isn't here as far as I go. But there is, it has the evidence then. So I would encourage you to talk to a realtor, see if the property's worth, talk to an appraisal, and decide where you want to. So like I said, they're going where you want to go with that. So
May I ask a question?
Right now, it's a stop and then we have 30 moving, we're done, we have 15 minutes each person dedicated. So, motion is before us, Matt, go ahead, and I, motion was denied, motion was approved for tonight, that's the motion. Next up, we have Dave and Paula Meyer. Meyer? Meyer. Oh, okay.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony which you shall give in the matter now on hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And as a reminder, Laura's already been sworn in, and this case is David and Paula Mayer at W6741 Fair Lane 5. Their land was assessed at 578,200. Improvements at 553,500 for a total of 1,131,700.
Okay, so, you're up first to be able to provide evidence, for your side of the objection.
Thank you. My wife Paul and I have been residents since about June 1st of 2017. We bought our lot and we built a new home. And we did that in June of 2017. And we've enjoyed living in the village. Everybody we've dealt with, from the village office to the lady that works at the waste yard, to everyone, has been wonderful. And we enjoy the village, and we're a couple houses down from her brother as well, which we like. So we love the village. We received our notice of assessment value in the mail, and we looked at it and were concerned that it was not accurate. The amount seemed high, and so I needed to get validation to either get it validated or get another opinion of what the value was. And so we reached out, found an appraisal firm locally, contracted with them, and had them conduct an appraisal. And so they did that. And so then after obtaining that appraisal, we came in for open book, had a discussion with one of the assessors here in this room. And I guess before we got to the open book, we had submitted online. You have to submit online for your time to have the open book appointment. So we did that, and I think I received an email from someone at the Accurate Assessor's office indicating there was an anomaly, and I don't know what that anomaly was or what that a revised, and I think I might have included this in the documents that I submitted to with the objection form. A revised assessment notice will be mailed to you, should arrive early next week during our open book review. Well, that hadn't happened yet. The open book hadn't happened. So we discovered an anomaly that affected the improvement value on your property. So I don't know what that anomaly was. It It's a euphemism for mistake, I took it as, but in any case, something was wrong, but I don't know what that was. But we came in and we had the conversation with one of the assessors, and we provided the appraisal that we had contracted for, paid for, to have some evidence and understanding of the value. And the individual indicated that we'd look at that and consider that. And so it indicated about a week and a half later, we would receive an update. So we had not gotten an update in the mail, and so I contacted. We hadn't received it from the assessor's office. The assessor would mail it, I guess. We hadn't received the update, and so I contacted the assessor's office, and they emailed me a document. And so that's where I think the current assessment is at $1,094,000 and some odd cents. So I think that's the current one that the assessor has right now. The appraisal,
Can we verify that?
she just nodded her head, yes.
Correct, yeah.
So the appraisal is $904,000. And so there's quite a disparity there. And so 900 versus the 1,094,000. And so in a conversation I had with the assessor's office, I think Kim, and we've heard Kim's name earlier today, she must be in there. She indicated that, and you made a reference to this too, that you don't look outside of the municipality. You gather whatever sales happen within the municipality, which didn't make sense to me. And so I spent some time looking on the DOR website, and there's that 1,000-page document that you had referenced. And I think this was submitted as part of the packet, the information. They talk about the sales comparison approach and talk about comparable sales that are similar to the subject property and age, condition, use, and other factors. And on page 9-24, it says assessors are not limited to sales that occur in the municipality they are currently assessing. This is from the DOR. And so in the bottom of that paragraph, assessors should not, well, it says, independent appraisers and taxpayers do not limit themselves to sales which occur just inside the municipality. So assessors should not limit themselves either. And so I contend, my wife Paul and I contend that the value is appropriately $904,000 as per the appraisal that we paid for. As a follow-up, based on the feedback I received from the assessor's office, I contacted the appraiser again, and I said, well, I can't get good line of sight to understand which properties are being used by the assessor in establishing the approximate $1.1 million that we have right now. But I went through all the sales analysis, and fortunately, the sales analysis available on Accurate Assessor's website, fortunately, they highlighted blue, those ones that are on water. And so I identified 3 that are on Fire Lane 8, Fire Lane 9, and Harrison Road. And I brought those to the appraiser and I said, can you add these as comparables at least, so I've got something to go by in the event that I would come to open book and you would consider the other comparables that are in that appraisal. And so he had done that. And that's the version that I provided to you, the latest modified version with those 8 comparables to establish the value. And in his appraisal, despite adding those comps, those additional comps that occurred within the village, he still affirms the value of $904,000 for a property. So I think that's all I have to share.
Okay. Do you have any questions or of review members or Laurel?
Like to hear from the assessor's testimony.
I'm just pulling up your appraisal of that. Was it, what was the date of the appraisal?
July 1st,
Well, we just got it revised this week.
he did a revision. Whoops, he did a revision. I would have received it Monday morning. I don't know that he redated it, but in the signature page is where he modified. This would be the document that I shared with my objection form.
The one we received this week, the updated
Yeah,
appraisal.
yes.
Any questions from the board review? Otherwise, Laura's opportunity to present her testimony.
Mhm. So the property owner, is right, I took a look at your appraisal and said, what within this is within, the, Village of Harrison, and the directive given, provided by the Department of Revenue to us has been, there are times where we may look outside the village. Generally, it's when there are no other comparables. Most often, it would be a very unique residential property. I don't see that often. Most often, it would be in a commercial sense, that, maybe there's no other hotels that have sold, or a unique manufacturing site, or things of that nature that might stretch us to find comparables, in other like communities. That is generally when we go outside of the municipality itself. Most often, we would see that within a residential case. Out of respect for the appraisal, I took what was in the Village of Harrison, so probably what the property owner saw. And I wanted to essentially look at those, because that would have been within our analysis, right? It looks like my printer tried to die a little bit, so hopefully everything is legible in the copies I passed to you. But on the left-hand side of the grid would be the subject property, and then 3 comparables that would have been cited, as they had mentioned, water properties, try to find as like, within reason for age, and size and other comparables. And it's still on both of a price per square foot level, as well as just an overall value level support where the value currently stood, with the adjustments that we would have used in comparing to other like properties within the village. So I would have looked at that for any other objector today. If it would have supported an adjustment, I would have made it. In this situation, it did not support an adjustment.
You have a right to ask questions if you so should.
I guess I'm confused how you can compare a 6,000 square foot home to a 2,200 square foot home.
Yeah, if it wasn't on the water, I think we would have looked at other comparables, given sometimes location. And I specifically chose these because they were in your appraisal. I
feel
thought,
repeat, 6,000 square feet versus 2,200.
These I included because I did not know how these proceedings would go today. I didn't know if you would consider properties outside the village as the DOR says you should. So I asked for those to be included in the appraisal. Otherwise, they weren't in the original appraisal.
evidence is brought to say we would be incorrect, and this is the rationale and why. I went off of that rationale why, and wanted to present it in a way that we would have looked at it within the village.
I didn't understand what you just said.
So, given that we wouldn't have included the outside of the village's properties,
Okay.
I took what you had within your materials.
Mhm.
That would have been used within our analysis, right? We do look at all sales, and then we look at different factors, right? Things that are on the water versus off the water, styles, but waterfront tends to be